All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
Hello, everybody. This is Don the Predator Frye. We have another double D's in your face Q&A here. My guest is Art Del Cueto. He's you the VP or the president of the union?
I'm the national vice president.
Oh, the national vice president. Forgive me. And I've sent somebody over to break my legs, my kneecaps. Dan Severn's not here today, folks. I'm sorry, but Dan had a terrible accident today, and we're all praying for him. And we ask you all say a prayer for him because Dan was in Ohio and was touring a marshmallow factory and fell in a vat and ate his way out and OD'd. And he's kind of coming, give and take, come and go. But he's pulling through. If you all give us a good prayer, and I know Dan's tough enough to pull through, and they'll get the rest of the marshmallow off of him. And all he needs to do is take a real good big dump, and he'll feel better. So with that said, welcome here to Toxic Masculinity. Let's get after it. Art, who's fucking up our border down south there, man? The thing's a fucking mess.
It is a mess, man, and it's the policies of the current administration. Look, I've worked through different administrations, and I understand it. Like, you can get one administration, a new one comes in, and they have different policies, and they'll say mine worked better than his, or whatever it may be. But
yeah, they're perpetuating that. They're perpetuating that lie right now, and everybody sees through it because it's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous, but they keep fucking saying it like somebody's eventually going to believe it.
Well, see, the problem is we have a new administration that just came in, and they were so upset over the last administration's mean tweets.
Right.
What they decided to say is his policies didn't work because he had mean tweets. So let's get rid of them. But they didn't replace them with anything. It's a free for all right now. And through rhetoric alone, they said, hey, if you come across and you ask for asylum, we're going to look at every case. But while we're waiting to look at the case, we're going to release you in the United States. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. They're releasing everyone. And a lot of their court dates, and this is, I found this out, and I've been telling people about it, and it's a real eye-opener, and people freak out when I tell them this. The court dates that they're giving these individuals to come and present their immigration case is 85 months away.
85 months? That's stupid. That is ridiculous. What was that, 10 years?
It's close to 6.5 years. They're never going to show up. No, they're just never going to show up.
No, I mean, they can be done with a bankruptcy by then, right?
Well, I mean, or you're going to put them 87,000 IRS guys to work.
Yeah. Well, only on those people who work for a living, the middle class.
Yeah, that's the problem. And look, people say, well, how is it? Because I keep telling the people, I'm on the news and I say, look, the cartels control everything. Yeah. And they say, well, that's a stretch. I said, it isn't a stretch. The cartels, what they do is they know where the groups are going to come in. They gather them, they throw them through one area, knowing that they turn themselves in. Then they tell them, look, you turn yourself in, you're not going to get sent back. Just say you're asking for asylum. So that's what they do. They come across. Now, Border Patrol agents have to go to that area. They have to respond, transport, process. Sometimes they got to take them to the hospital, and they got to do hospital watches. And the cartels see that. So when the cartels see agents preoccupied with that and they leave the area, that's when they take advantage and they start bringing the drugs across. That's why we have so many drugs in the country right now. It's just they know strategically how to bring them in.
Oh, strategically, it's simple. It's simple math. If the people are over here, we go here.
Yeah, and it's been nonstop. It's been nonstop this whole time. Look, like the day that President Biden took office, when he was going to get sworn in, that night there was a group of 300 that came across in southern Arizona before he even took his oath, and because they knew it was a free-for-all, and it's been nonstop, and it's continued to happen. And you got the people that want to lie about it, and you have other individuals. Like the news media is a big problem sometimes too. I'll admit it. I've asked them to come out here and look, because Tucson sector, which is where we're at, it includes from New Mexico all the way into the reservation close to Yuma. That area is called the Tucson sector on the border. Mm-hmm. And it's the #1 area in the country when it comes to gotaways. It's just people that are coming through. We don't know who they are. We don't know what country they're from. And the agency has admitted that they've arrested people from 162 different countries. So right. You don't know who any of these people are. And when I brought it up to a lot of members of the media, they said, hey, can we see these gotaways? And I'm like,
no, they got away, you dumbass. That's the meaning of the word.
How am I going to show you gotaways? They got away. But that's the problem.
These are the people who are reporting, writing articles on it.
God. So they're concentrating on the people that they see in Texas, rightfully so. But I think that those people in Texas, they come across, they turn themselves in, they know they're going to get released. I think we're going to see a humongous problem for many, many years to come from these gotaways, because realistically, we don't know where they're at or who they are. And the number is not even a real number, Don, to be honest. It's basically counting footprints in the sand and hope you got it right.
Right. And then they're flying them in the middle of the night, up into different parts of the country, and they're, unvaccinated, and not just for COVID, but for everything, rubella, smallpox,
everything. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So we went through a time here where there was a lot of agents that had a problem with wanting to take the vaccine, rightfully so, right? And this administration said, if you don't get the vaccine, you're going to potentially lose your job. You're going to get fired. All the while, they were allowing millions to come in from countries from all over the world, and they weren't even asking them for any type of vaccine record, and they were getting released. That's how ridiculous this administration has become.
Oh, it's a fucking circus act is what it is, and we're stuck with it for another 2 years, God.
Yeah, we are. You hear a lot of people talk about the midterms. Oh, the midterms. You know what, Don? I hate to say it, but the midterms ain't going to fix nothing.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, you have a person in power that can pass and veto anything he wants all day long. It might slow it down, but I don't think it's gonna stop anything. And this country right now, I mean, just in the state alone, I see it often. They're so hungry for a hero that they don't pay attention to current politics. Most people don't pay attention to politics. They think they do off of what they see on YouTube or what they see on social media, but they don't look deep into the problem. And they're quick to crown people that for the longest time they've swung that hammer of socialism and the radical left, and then one day they say, oh, well, I'm no longer a Democrat, or I don't want to talk about that anymore. And all of a sudden, it's like you say a few things that you read in a meme, and oh, look, here's our new hero.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me, man. It's just insane. People are desperate for a hero. Where you at, Don? We're desperate for a hero.
Hey, man, I'm laying on the beach, up in the mountain, laying on the beach. I'm having fun. Me and my bulldog. Yeah.
Right. And it's just crazy. I see it all the time, and it's. Look, I came to this country legally. I wasn't born in America, and I was lucky enough to come here legally. I got citizenship through my father. I was born in Mexico.
Yeah, what part?
Sonora, right on the border.
Okay.
And my dad would say, "Look," and it isn't politically correct, but it's what my dad said, right? Yeah. And my dad said, if the country we left was as good as people think it is, we never would have left.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, but when you say that, people are so afraid to be pro-American. People are so afraid that they think, well, if I wave the red, white, and blue, if I'm that much American, people are going to think I'm an extremist or whatever. And it has nothing to do with that. I mean, I watch sports all the time, just like you do, and I like martial arts and the fighting and all that stuff. And you see it when you have a fighter from like Ireland or from Mexico or from the Philippines. You see these people that go to these fights and they're flying the flag of their country, like they're very proud of it. That's cool.
Right.
Well, you know what? Why is it not cool to wave the? Why if I wave the red, white, and blue, and I'm proud of it, why do I got to get categorized as an extremist? That's horseshit.
Right. Yeah. You're white imperialist, shit.
Exactly.
Colonists. Yeah. It's they're just trying to make us feel like shit. Every time you turn around, in every direction.
Yeah, it's very frustrating though, man. It's frustrating, and I see it all the time. And I hear it from my standpoint where they say, well, you're out here doing what you're doing and you're depriving people. Look, man, I took an oath to protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And yeah, I was born in another country, but I owe everything I owe to this country. I fly one flag in my home. I have an allegiance to one country, and I don't have a problem saying that this country is the best country in the world. Is it perfect? No, but it's the best country in the world. I don't see millions and millions of people trying to leave America and go to China or Russia or Guatemala or El Salvador.
Right. Yeah, but they like the bits about us, but get the fuck out. Open up, leave a spot for somebody else who wants to be here.
Who wants to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get blamed. I mean, I'm one of those guys that if I'm watching a sport event and I see somebody waving and maybe this is too much, but it's how I am. If I'm watching a sporting event and I see somebody else that lives in the United States and they've grown up here and they owe everything here, and yeah, they may have a heritage from another country, and I see them flying the flag of another country against an American, it kind of pissed me off, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, big time. I mean, especially a sports, star or a movie star or something. You bastards are making millions of dollars, and all you can do is just badmouth the country that is making you rich. Go to China, go to Russia, see if you can get treated that way as well over there, and see if you can make as much money over there.
Yeah, I see it all the time. You see it here in Arizona, when you have people with flags from another country. And I kind of poke fun at them sometimes, and I'll say, hey, like I see you have like a Mexican flag or whatever, and they said, yeah, and I said, are you getting paid in dollars or pesos? Maybe you should get paid in pesos, if you're that proud of
your How they respond?
They kind of joke and they kind of laugh about it. They laugh it off and they say, oh, well, you know how it is. No, man, I don't know how it is. No, I'm from the country, and this is where my allegiance stance is.
Absolutely. The thing is, we don't teach history, anymore in the schools. And if we do, we're not teaching the correct history. They're teaching us wokeism bullshit,
right?
Which is all fabricated. It's just it's a fantasy that they're coming up with.
Yeah, I don't think there's a political problem in America. I think there's an educational problem in America,
right?
And people aren't educated. And even when I see, I get heavily involved when it comes to different candidates, because my priority is obviously, as a representative of the Border Patrol Council, is making sure that the agents are taken care of, making sure that there's policies that will help our nation's borders and make the job easier, right? And I don't get involved with the candidates when it comes to whatever social platform they have, right? It's strictly like law enforcement, border security, and I see it, especially in the primaries, and Arizona is notorious in the primaries, where they don't even educate themselves. They just look and see who's got the coolest pictures on Instagram, and they say, oh, I'm gonna vote for that person because they got cool pictures, or they said a couple of cool words. Well, you know what? Dig into their history and dig into where a lot of these people as candidates were just one election cycle ago, donating to the left, donating to people that didn't care about the Second Amendment, didn't care about protecting our nation's borders. I've seen it this whole week. They've had a couple politicians that all of a sudden said, oh, I'm no longer a Democrat. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's, oh, you're not? Here's your crown. Yeah. Never mind that you were voting against the Second Amendment, that you were like hanging out with Bernie Sanders and you thought socialism was the coolest thing. Oh, okay. And they don't even ask them. I've seen interviews where I saw an interview today where, Tulsi Gabbard was being interviewed even, right?
Yeah.
And I respect her. She's cool because she did she served in the military. But
Right.
are we going to forget that everything she voted for during her time in office was against the Second Amendment?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to crown her because all of a sudden she walked away. So now we crown her. And I mean, I don't know. I think people need to pay their dues a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Prove themselves. Yeah.
You gotta prove yourself.
Well, like that fucking idiot astronaut, the guy's a fucking carpetbagger, Kelly. And he's not from Arizona. He doesn't even live here now when he's been serving for 2 years. What the fuck? Go back to Texas, leave us alone.
I got a funny story with that with Senator Kelly, and he's denied it, and it's pretty much, I mean, it's whatever. I ran into him several years ago at a Veterans Day parade, and I would talk to his wife because we had a fantastic relationship with her when she was in Congress, and she would help out issues with the agents. And I saw her, and she wanted me to go shake his hand, and I went to shake his hand, and when he realized who I was with the Border Patrol Council, he kind of just looked at me and he's like, "Oh, Border Patrol," and he did that, and he just walked away. And I didn't, honestly, this is how dumb I am, Don. I didn't think anything of it. Right. I was like, whatever, you're not the first one that doesn't like me because of, my profession. But a couple of weeks later, I was talking to a news reporter about it, and he's sitting there going, "That's big news. We got to blow it up." And I was like, come with me to work one day and you'll see how many people flip me off in the desk. It wasn't a big deal to me. I grew up in Douglas, bro.
Oh,
so I grew up in Douglas. Yeah, and I used to go hang out at the Fab Ave Rec Center up in Sierra Vista.
Yeah.
And so that whole crowd, we're not that soft. It's
right.
You can't offend me that easy.
No.
So I didn't think it was a big deal, but the reporter thought it was, and they blew it up. And then I think word got to him, and he just denied it. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Admit it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, the guy's a liar all the way around, so what's one more lie?
What's one more?
Yeah. It's like Biden. He's just making shit up as he goes, I mean, we have the best economy. No, we don't. Do you know what's going on this fucking planet? God.
Sit there and say that the border's secure, and it's far from secure. But I blame a lot of the news sometimes because I do a lot of hits on different news networks, right? And a lot of them, you'll have your talking points and you'll have 30 seconds, maybe a minute to just focus on that, but you can't expand on a lot of things. And I blame them sometimes because for the longest time, I was getting a lot of interviews and people were asking me, is it chaos? Can we use the word chaos? Dude, I don't care what word you use.
Yeah.
They were so focused on, oh, can we say chaos? Oh, can we say invasion? Look, man, you got millions of people coming across the border and they're getting released in the United States. You got a bunch of unaccompanied juveniles that are coming across, they're getting released in the United States, and we don't know if they're really juveniles. Right. Because, some of them look older than you and me, but they're walking around saying they're 16 years old. And when it comes to accountability, during the Obama administration, we had that big push of the unaccompanied juveniles that were coming in through Southern Arizona. All those kids, or unaccompanied juveniles, as they called them, they're all grown adults. And if you ask anyone in this administration where those people are, they don't have an answer because they don't know. And the same is going to happen with these millions that are coming across today. They're not going to know where they're at a couple of years from now.
Oh, they don't care. To me, it's my opinion that Biden and the Democrats are trying, purposely to destroy this country.
Well, if they're not doing it on purpose, they're sure doing a good job by doing it on accident.
Yeah, because I mean they're doing everything you would do, step by step to destroy a country.
No, and you've seen it you've lived here your whole life yourself, pretty much, Don. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen the problem. You've seen it in Arizona. You definitely see it in Cochise County. You can't come out on Cochise County and drive around certain areas anymore because there's going to be all these car chases. We've seen so many individuals, American citizens so far, that have been killed down there in Cochise County because of the failure to yield the sheriff going after him and Border Patrol getting involved. When was it? Just 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago, coming out of Cochise County, there was a vehicle that was spiked. It rolled, and there was, I believe, 7 bodies that had to be taken airlifted to the hospital because the individual driving refused to stop the vehicle.
Yeah. And probably a minor, Arizona minor too, making us $2,500 or something like that, right?
That's exactly what's happening. So what they'll do is they'll focus on keywords through like TikTok or Instagram and Facebook, the hashtags. They look at the hashtags, and they see that a lot of these people are enamored by the Mexican narco culture, and then they'll send them messages. A lot of them, we're seeing a lot of kids out of the Phoenix area, 16-year-old kids, and they'll drive down here to Cochise County, or they'll drive down here into the Sells area on the Tohono O'odham Reservation. They'll pick up a load of people, and they'll take them back up north for pretty much close to about $2,000. And then this is what's even worse is that they'll run away from them, and then when they get detained, the prosecutor doesn't even want to prosecute because there's too many of them and they're minors.
Really?
So, I mean, if you're not going to get any consequences for your actions, then
why not do it?
It's like this, okay? You're a fighter, right? And you're a champion. And if someone says, "Hey, you can go fight Don Frye, and he's not going to hit you back at all. And if you win, you're champion. Well, you might as well take a shot at the title."
Right.
There's no consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically how it is right now, guys. They'll come down here, they'll try to do what they do. They get caught, no consequences. Same with the individuals that are coming in illegally. They get caught. You'll chase them. You'll chase them for miles. And then when you catch them, they turn around and say, "I'm here looking for asylum. I fear persecution in my country." And then you process them and you release them. That's all you can do. No consequences under this administration.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's ridiculous. Yeah, they're gonna get a bunch of guys killed. They really are. A bunch of our servicemen and women and border patrolmen and women, and then the civilians too. All the civilians, putting them in danger completely. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.